So this quick tutorial is to show how to make this magazine insert right here out of Kydex. And the concept behind this insert is to keep your soft pockets from collapsing. So what this insert consists of is a face right here and 2 tabs. So the reason why we don't have another face in the front of this is because we don't support the backside because it is already supported by a plate. So our goal is to keep this from collapsing when inserting a mag, or these sides from collapsing. Also, these tabs right here, this tab and this tab, create retention on your magazine when it's inserted. So the problem I've had was when I put it in, these soft pouches collapse. Having this insert, I don't have that problem. Also, when inserting this magazine insert, you always want to make sure this face is facing outward to give it the full stability of this front pouch pocket's face. By adding this face to the outside, you can now molly web a knife to here, or your handgun, or whatever you want to that front pocket without it putting its weight and collapsing it. A lot of companies, they'll sell these inserts as a concept of a C. So it'd be something like this, but it would be a big C to support this face and this face, but there's no point on supporting this face. And also another reason why you don't create the other face is because we need this pocket from to keep it from collapsing on these edges. So if this face is supported, that's fine, but if these are not supported, this pocket could still cave in on the side or hang up your magazine. So I added these supports and this back support, and then it'll go in there like that. So I'll show you how to make that. This pouch in particular would be the standalone pouch. As you can see, I have it molly webbed to my backpack, and it's gonna look something like this. This is a pistol pouch, but in this concept we would take off this retention, and since I have no back support, this is gonna fold in this way and then from the opposite way. So by adding a backing on this side and this side, it'll keep it from collapsing this way, but allow this to freely move inside the 2 tabs. So that's what I meant by standalone pouch. It would be just something that you would molly web onto a backpack or something of that sort. So when creating this magazine insert for your soft pouch, you're going to need to know 3 dimensions, and that's going to be the width of the pocket, which would be this measurement from here to here. You're going to need to know the height of the pocket, which would be from here to here, and you're going to need to know the depth of the pocket, which would be from here to here of your soft pouch. By getting these dimensions as close as possible, it keeps this Kydex insert in place at all times. This one in particular is for a plate carrier, so if you wanted this for a soft pouch that goes on your backpack or something, you might want to create another face or surface on the front side, so it acts as like a C, and it keeps that pocket open, and then it just relies on these 2 tabs for the retention. That's another thing to know. Okay, to get started, you're going to need a few items. You're going to need a ruler or a tape measure to measure the pocket and also measure your Kydex out. You're going to need something of this sort. This is just a piece of steel, and this is just to create a hard edge when you heat the Kydex up. And by having something that doesn't melt is going to be needed, because when you apply the heat gun to the Kydex, you don't want this piece to melt. So I use a piece of metal. You can also use your ruler if it's metal, or wood. A wooden ruler would be fine. Just don't apply too much heat to the wood ruler. Shears. You're also going to need the actual Kydex itself. This size in particular is 12 by 8. You might need a bigger piece if your pocket is going to need a double face, or if it's a 30 round magazine pouch. I believe my magazine pouch is for 20 rounders because it's not as tall. And also you're going to need a heat gun. This one in particular is from Harbor Freight. It's, I think, $30, so nothing too expensive. You could also get away with having a hair dryer, maybe. I believe that would apply enough heat. My setting that I set this at to heat this up would be 730 degree Fahrenheit. And you're going to need some type of marker or Sharpie to mark out your pocket after you. So after getting the dimensions, this is what it's going to look like on your Kydex. I'm using this the black sheet of Kydex and this red sheet to show you the trace out or stencil it on your Kydex after you mark it with the Sharpie. So this is what it would look like. Okay. And to go over this one more time, from this edge to this edge up here is going to be the depth of the pocket, and then from this edge to this edge is going to be the height of the pocket. Same from this edge to this edge, it's going to be the height, and then from this edge to this edge is also going to be the height. And then the width is going to be from this edge to this edge, so this is the width of it. And you're going to end up, once you cut it out, you're going to end up with a T. Okay. Another thing to note is you might need a vise. I use a vise because I have it on hand, and it's going to be a lot easier when forming this Kydex sensor. So first of all, you want to put the T in the vise. You don't have to have a vise, it's just, it makes it a lot easier. And then once you get this lined up flat, what you're going to do is you're going to, so you want this edge flat with the top of the vise, and note that this side is the carbon fiber side and this is the smooth side. So depending on if you want the textured in the pocket or if you want the smooth side in the pocket, that's totally up to you. So it's going to determine how you bend this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to heat this up on this back side and this front side to bend this forward. So we just keep heating it up until it's pliable. Once it's pliable, you're going to notice it's going to start falling on its own. So when it gets hot enough, it'll fall on its own, and then you'll know. As you can see, it did fall. So we heat this up for a little bit, get it warm. So at this point, it is already formed downward. So we're going to use our flat plate and push down, and also keep this face upward parallel to this plate. And we're going to push down on it. So by also using this plate, it's going to give us a harder edge on our Kydex sheet. So we're going to have this hard edge on the pocket. And if you didn't have this plate to push down, this edge would be really bubbly and the radius would be really big, and it won't stay in your sock pouch. So once we get it to this point, we're gonna undo it, and you're gonna see that we have formed this edge.
as a T. So it's going to look something like this. Next, we're going to put it back into the vise. And now that we have this in the vise, we have it the same way we bent it, but we did move it to towards us, so that way this edge right here is flush with this vise. So we heat it just like we did the first face. So we heat this up. Remember, once this starts becoming pliable, you're going to want to support it so it doesn't droop down on you. Remember, if you mess up, Kydex is real forgiving. You could just heat it up on a flat surface and it'll form back to its original state. So we're going to heat this. Once we get it heated, it's going to be easy to form it. So what we're going to do is take that plate that we had and put it on this face, and we're going to hold it there until the heat it becomes cold and it stops forming on its own. Also, one thing to note is if you don't form this hard edge, it will cause you a problem when inserting it into your pouch. It might be oversized, so make sure you get this as close to the cut as possible, so that way this pushes in your pouch without having to try to stretch your pouch. If it doesn't, you could always heat it up and redo it, so not a real big deal. Also, if you overheat this, you can melt it and crack it, and we're going to end up with something like this. So we repeat the process for this other tab, and then I'll show you the result. After we heat both tabs up, we're going to end up with something that looks like a box. I did this really fast, so it's not perfect. Take your time and you'll have these edges a lot nicer than mine. So next we're going to heat up this edge right here, or this face, to make this curve, and this is going to give us the retention we need. So to start off, we're going to heat up this face, and I'm going to show you how I do it, so that way you don't melt this, or you don't heat this up to the point where it loses its form. So we're going to heat up the upper portion of this face. We don't want to heat down in here because that's going to lose our fold, because it just takes a little heat and it'll start unfolding. So we heat it till it starts forming outward on its own by just the heat gun's air. So once you get it to that point, you're going to want to start to form it on it. It's on, so you're going to form it so it makes something like that. So you hold it there. You could use gloves because it might be a little hot when you do it, but you just keep that curve. Also, to make this curve, you could use a cylindrical surface, so like a coffee can or something, and then once you hold it there, you could also tape it. So put tape on here to the coffee can and then push it inward, and then that'll give you more of a perfect curve. Other than that, your Kydex insert will look like this once you do both sides of this piece. And remember, this height is going to be determined on your pocket height, so they should be even with the tabs. This one's a little bit long because I had extra Kydex and I didn't cut it, so that's why this one's a little bit taller. But all in all, you should end up with something that looks close to this, and then slip it in your pouch and keep those soft pouches from caving in when you insert your magazine. I hope you like this quick tutorial. If so, give it a thumbs up. If you have any more questions, put it down in the comments below. And thank you for watching.
Well, I hope this tutorial was a good experience for you to get you into Kydex, and also I hope it helped you out if you have this problem. Again, if you use this concept and you do need the stability of both faces to keep it from collapsing this way or the opposite way on a standalone pouch, you could also add that to it. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe and give it a thumbs up if this helped you out.